Hello and welcome to Team One Take episode 7, and we go back old school. We go OG, one of the original casters from Honor of Kings. It's gonna be Blam. How you doing today, Blam?
I'm fantastic. I mean, it's been, 6 episodes waiting for you guys to invite me. I was like, hey, when's it going to happen? Is it going to be like the 10th anniversary of this podcast that I get on it? But no, it's a 6th one, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Actually, it's the 7th one, but that, it doesn't really matter at this point. You are here. That's all that matters. And the reason why we were trying to build a story, right, going into this one. And of course, it was going to be the big thing was going to be KME, KMW. You and I casted over the weekend. Plus, we saw some games. I mean, we saw Kin actually defer to the dark side, dare I say. He's on the worst side, the KME. We won't talk too much about that because we don't want to waste your time. But let's talk a little bit about this KMW Blam. Your thoughts on those 4 days?
The 4 days for the obviously KMW and KME. I feel like there has been more competition this time around in the KME than the KM West. Like KM West in the spring, to me, was definitely a lot more competitive. Whereas now it's kind of like, it seems like KME has become more competitive because of the KJL leagues, right? Like those two teams, Scars and Crazy Raccoons, definitely stepped up and definitely changed the whole dynamic of the KME.
Yeah, it seems a little bit different, right? It seems like there's no true winner, dare I say, that just like stomps all the other teams. Yes, there are definitely some good teams, but it seems like that parity between the levels, like of the different teams, is actually very, very small at this stage.
It feels like the growth has not been there for Scars. I feel Crazy Raccoons has been crazy.
Yeah, so like, I mean, going in, yeah. Go on, sorry, Blam.
Yeah, I mean, like with Scars, you've obviously got Mfong as well on that team as well, so that's generally obviously helped boost them up. But no, overall, I think with KMW, obviously it shows a clear picture that obviously OG Esports are still the dominant force there because they are currently 12-0. So is it going to be the same kind of thing of last year, right, where KMW OG stomps, gets into the survival weeks, still stomps, but then gets into the playoffs and then falters? I mean, that could still be a big issue here for them.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, going into this one, sorry, I'm just going to put up the standing so everybody's kind of aware of at least where we stand with KME. We're seeing that, again, I think Gen G has been the biggest surprise. I mean, yeah, they beat Nongshim, but they're sitting on top of this mountain. I think that they're very happy with their performance in ranking week, going into survival week. But do you really think in that series, Nongshim against Gen G, that, Nongshim was going all out, or was it just Gen G's resolve at the end of the day?
I mean, I think Gen G was going all out, right? Like, I feel like even just from social media posts alone, I think it's the first time I've seen Clue actually post on his Twitter account saying he's so proud that they got to top spot within KME's ranking week. So it's definitely something that they've been definitely striving towards. And to be honest, they've showed a lot of promise within the ranking week. So I feel like even when they do get into that best of 5 format this week against Nongshim, you still got Rock that still has his Nutsa pick that we saw in KWC. That could still come through. We're still waiting for that to come onto the KME. So I feel like they still have a strong way ahead of them for the side of Gen G.
I think they still have that next level because I haven't watched all their games, but they didn't do the unorthodox drafts, right? Like last season in spring, the four melees and 1 Yixing, and then just go ham. So that, I think, honestly, is something that a lot of teams, even the west side, will not be able to handle. So Gen G, I feel like they did try their best, but they tried their best with the normal strategies. And I'm very sure that the extra strategies are already, how do I say it, like pitch perfect for them,
Yeah. No, I totally agree 100%. It's one of those things where I think that they want to just prove that they can play standard. I think at KWC, they tried to pull out some of those gimmicks and they didn't do as well. But this roster, with the latest addition of Monto adding in and Ray kind of getting out, I think that this team is stronger, right? They're able to play more standard and they're able to have that. And to your point, Kin, they can have those, they can pull out those trump cards whenever they want. They can activate their trap cards at a later point. So I think that that's going to be fun to watch.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, so exactly. Absolutely fun to watch, to be honest. I mean, with Monto, with the switch from Ray to Monto, I feel like that is probably going to be the natural transition, because you already see that Monto can obviously play more like aware to the farm lane role, whereas Ray was just kind of like had to just situate down there. Obviously, Ray has been mid lane, he's been jungle, is now, well, he was farm. So there's a virtuoso there, but it's more of like a jack of all trades, master of none. Yes, he was definitely the better jungler out of all those 3 roles. But the fact is that it's kind of like maybe it was just his due time. Obviously, needs somebody that is a farm lane main, and Monto right now, it definitely seems like it's fitting him.
So it's looking good, right, for the side of Genji. But then I think we go back to Mr. Korea here, your favorite, Nongshim Red Force. Have they? I don't think they have deproved. But I don't think they have improved that much as well. I'm curious whether this is more of like a let's test out our strategies, because no matter how, they still triumph over the other teams, and then maybe they come into like survival week being a much stronger force,
To be honest, I don't know if they've actually fully recovered from KWC, right? I feel like other teams have figured them out, and they're now kind of like, oh crap, everybody's on the same level. They know what we're gonna do, and we're not able to just do like normal Haku things with like an Ogryn, for instance, right? This is a team that's really kind of had to play very reactive, and they're not playing their game, and there have been moments where they try to force the issue, and they've been penalized, or they've been punished so many times for that.
Yeah. With Nongshim, for me, it feels like they don't always have a great early game. It's kind of like they have a bit of a buffering, right? That's kind of like they get into the game, they're like, right, okay, we're getting ganked, it's fine, don't worry about it. But it's all like Nongshim Red Force just buffering up, making sure they're finding out what strategy they need to make to go into that 10-minute mark. But we always joke about teams having a 10-minute timer. Nongshim doesn't have really a designated timer, as we've seen within the ranking week, all right? They've always like, it's been 15-minute matches, 25-minute matches. I think Nongshim actually holds the record for one of the longest matches as well as the shortest.
I think it's a big change because, you saw from spring where they were getting all the shortest games and it really didn't help them in the long term. I think that they're trying to extend the games. I know I'm definitely not doing it on purpose. Unfortunately for Nongshim, it's just that, again, they just haven't been able to close out games. Other teams have figured them out. So this is a team that I am really starting to worry about. I thought that they were clear number 1 going into even the fall KME, but now I'm kind of like, wow, Crazy Raccoon might even surpass them. You're seeing, Scars and R8 just waiting in the wings to just kind of jump on a vulnerable Nongshim here.
But that's what's fantastic, right? I mean, that's the whole point of esports, and for me, HOK has been really interesting because number 1, of course, for the global audiences, it's a new game, right? So the growth of different teams comes at a different speed at different junctures of competitive seasons. So the fact that Crazy Raccoon now, I think they're doing well. It's also super interesting to me because I feel like CR can beat Nongshim. But then the reverse is also true because I feel like Nongshim is still holding back.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, Blank, go.
Yes, I feel like to that point that Kin's making there, obviously Crazy Raccoons, they're really kind of like holding on to the likes of Kong and Kai. So whereas Nongshim Red Force, they're kind of like a 5-man, not carry, but they are a unit, right? Like there's no one weak member of Nongshim. Illusion is the shot caller. Faye is fantastic as a support. Siri, when he gets his hands on the Ali, knows how to kind of navigate it. We were joking the other day within Sagi's podcast or Sagi's little segment on the KME and KMW is that there's a lot of lung players, but not many Ali players within the KME. But Siri seems to be one of those that can actually play it. But then obviously you have Haku, who did have a signature flare on Ogryn, which seems to have faded over time, which was unfortunate. But then Kyung9 into Clash Lane, also a very good macro player as well, right? So to me, like having 5 good teammates rather than like 2 extremely good teammates is probably going to be a lot more longevity than the likes of Crazy Raccoon at the moment.
So yeah, if we were to let's not do predictions, but let's talk about what we want, right? So at the end of the season, who do you want to be number 1 in KME? Who do you want to put in number 2 to go for final call?
Okay. Yeah, I think I want Genji to be number 1 just because of how much they've improved. I feel like they're the team that's showing the most kind of like, we've done the work. Season 3 Invitational, absolutely pants. Got kicked out by the PH teams. Look at the PH teams now. Like, look at KWC. Genji paid back that favor. So they're like, right, okay, we've got the bounce back there. In obviously spring season, they lost in second space. They lost to the last chance of OG Esports, which was going to be inevitable anyway. And then obviously MENA qualifier. So I feel like that reality check of having so many ways to qualify to KWC was like, all right, okay, we're only going to get this chance maybe once now within Honor of Kings Esports. and it's already shown within KIC, right? Like if they go to second place, they've got to play against the WKS champions as well, with Fearless Esports Hong Kong. So that's scary for Gen G. So I feel like they're going to do everything they can to get to the top spot, and then I think it'd be Nongshim that'll be second place.
I think that that's very scary, and it could very well be true, right? Which is the biggest issue as a Nongshim fan myself, right? And going into this one where you're kind of thinking if Gen G continue on with this streak, and they played very well in ranking week and just completely outclassed Nongshim in the end. But if Nongshim falls to 2, I don't think they survive, right? If we're talking about last chance, especially with, KM West around the corner and then the KME, the WKS team, Fearless Esports, like waiting in the wings, they are just hungry to jump on anyone. And I think Nongshim are incredibly vulnerable right now. They need to be in panic mode. And yes, they've survived, but going into this week, but in the top 3, but man, they need to shore up some serious weaknesses and they need to do it quickly.
Okay, so we put the WKS champions, Fearless Esports, because you mentioned it. Actually, how strong do you think they are? Like both of you, because in my eyes, I think FE is not bad, but I think Gen G can take the series against them.
I don't know. I think Fearless Esports Hong Kong comes out of that one, to be honest. Like they're coming from like let's not class it as a weaker region, but a region that has like less experienced teams or less experienced players, and they are going against obviously some of the like Hong Kong players, right? Like the Hong Kong China players. They are very good players. These have been players that have actually been on the scene for quite some time, and they've had like a little bit of a change of the roster as well. They seemed very, very dominant. Like if you put, say, for example, I think my prediction for KMW will be that Twisted Minds will be second place. It won't be OG Esports this time. Twisted Minds, as they are right now, don't survive the second chance qualifier.
Yeah. Interesting. And that's a nice little transition going into this one. Okay, so just so everybody's aware for the viewers back home, we did a tier list, so we're not going to rehash that one as of where all the teams should be, but I think that this is a perfect way to now talk a little bit, at least at a high level, about the KMW, right? Kin has been casting those games, unfortunately for him, and his eyes have been bleeding because of it. I'm sure it's been very difficult, but the biggest thing for this one, I mean, let's change this up a bit, right? In the sense of just like no big surprises. Blam, you're wearing the OG gear. Like this is a team that is clearly on top, right?
Oh, absolutely. OG Esports is on top. I don't think they've showed any kind of like weakness. I mean, I have to confess that I haven't watched all their games, so there may be a game where they may have showed a bit of blunder, or maybe some kind of like insight to some of these teams. Like, right, okay, this is kind of like the weak link here. Maybe we could go this route and try and get a victory over OG Esports this way. But I have full confidence in them. I mean, I'm wearing the gear at the moment. I have full confidence in Dao Dao, Keke, An, Wen, and Muchin that they're going to definitely breeze through in the survival week.
I fully agree.
They looked incredibly strong.
Yes, I fully agree because I also want the merch. Now, for those of you that don't know, Holler has the OG merch with his damn name on it. So I want that too.
I didn't actually wear it today. I should have, but I decided to go with the Twisted Minds one, representing there on that one. But yeah, I guess, I didn't want to look like a twin with Blam as well, although I had no idea you were wearing that. But still good to know that I do have that in my back pocket when I pull that one out. But I mean, look, Twisted Minds, a little bit of a change up. Clean has shifted into the Clash lane. 90 is taking a little bit of a break right now. You see Shu that has kind of stepped in. But has this been enough? Is this the same Twisted Minds that was top 4 at the KWC?
No, for sure not. And I think this is actually a scary situation, right? So the Twisted Minds that you guys know, especially for Blam, because Blam did KMW for Spring, right? They really rose through the ranks, and then with that grand finals win against OG, it really put them in a very spectacular spot. And bear in mind, this performance continued into KWC, right? They were top 4, right? They managed to get into top 4. OG were knocked out by Nova in a 4-0 fashion. OG crumbled. Let's be clear about that. There is no excuse about that. They did not perform as well as they should have based on their performance in KMW Spring. But coming here, the worry for me is that I think it's very clear that if you shut clean down on Twisted Minds, they cannot perform. And I think 9Z Globen have managed to figure that out, at least for one game of the series. Going into survival week, I think you can very well expect 9Z Globen if they manage to crush clean again, TM does not qualify. They will not even be second place. That's my hot take.
Okay.
Potentially. I mean, 90 Globen from like spring season, they were obviously fourth place, right? Like they were it was Virtus Pro that was fourth place. Sorry, they were just under them, not able to actually get out of the survival week. I think it was that one. But Twisted Minds, yeah. It's like, I understand, like, obviously we don't quite know what happened to 90. It may be personal. It may be the fact that he just wants to retire. Somebody in my TikTok stream did actually say that he has retired as a player. I don't know how true that is, but they did say that, and they are a competitive player as well within Honor of Kings Esports. But it's, to me, I think they're looking at the lung strategy, right? So if you're looking at Twisted Minds right now, they've gone to the prize pony tournament. They was like, right, let's keep the roster. Let's get that big cash prize. Let's get to fourth place. And then let's see what happens after that. And now they're changing the roster. They may not get to KIC at the end of the year, but then if they keep this roster transitioning through to 2026, then we can kind of start to see them come back into that former standard that they may be able to claim back to when they get to 2026, whether it be Season 4 Invitational, whatever it will be at the beginning of the year, right? Like, I feel like that's the strategy of Twisted Minds right now, is make the changes now, and we'll be in a better place at the beginning of next year where we can kind of strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, no, I think that that's the right way to go. I think you build for that long term. Going back to Nongshim, that's also a team that had been together for quite some time. They were not making roster changes, and there's a lot of turnover that happens, and it seems very reactive, right? It's like, one tournament we didn't qualify, let's change everything up, right? And I think too many teams do that. And yeah, while Twisted Minds technically did that here, but to your point, Blam, they're looking long term, right? And I think that the potential for this team, if they're able to continue that growth and all the things that they learned, getting the top 4 is no small task, right? And yeah, didn't look so great against like Nova and all that stuff, but it's still a team that took its licks and came out, I would think, much stronger in the end.
Okay, so since we're talking about long term, we know what's next, right? Long term, BTK, Bloodthirsty Kings. That one has been a long journey for them. Yes, long in the sense where the games and series feel very long because they are just getting battered, dude. There's no way around it, right? They have been punched in the face multiple times. But their growth, I think, has been pretty convincing, from a zero macro gameplay to managing to drag the game out against Level Max Club to a Tempest game, playing the map well. I think they have improved, but I'm very sure they don't make it out of Survival Week.
No, they don't. Anybody who wants to cope that much, come to my streams, we'll debate it. But yeah, this is not the place and time to debate that. They definitely don't come out of the Survival Week. I'm sorry, but I've seen so much cope, right? Like, you go into the KMW streams, and I get it. People are fans of BTK. I'm a fan of, obviously, many clubs. So I have many jerseys, so I don't really have the greatest of loyalty, but I am a fan of many of the teams and many of the players within Honor of Kings Esports. But the fact is, you've got this notion circling around saying, but if they did come into the game after so many months and they did stomp, that says something about the game. It's like, no, it doesn't. It just means that BTK was able to beat some of these teams and actually do maybe a little bit more preparation, do a little bit more research on how these teams play, have a little bit more scrim information as well. I feel like that to me, that idea and that sort of like points to the BTK being they have to be bad with the lack of time that they had. It's like, no, bro, they don't. It's copium. It's copium. I don't really like that point. If anything, I think it makes like BTK look shameless if they really want to like hone in on that point.
For me, I look at BTK as going on a journey, the same journey that I went to with Jiu-Jitsu, right? The first year, you're just getting absolutely destroyed by everyone. Right? You're just constantly, all you're doing is losing. And you're like, why am I even doing this? They're like big sweaty men on my face, like smashing me. It's disgusting. And that's kind of what the games have been like for BTK. Let me be very honest, right? But the thing is that if they're able to persevere through this and kind of continue on, yes, you're going to go through the qualifiers. Yes, it's going to be, a terrible time and it's going to be miserable. But after a year, you'll turn this around. Somebody else will be new and you will be the sweaty old dude against them, right? So you'll have a much better chance. it's a long road ahead of you, but I can tell you it will be rewarding. And I think that BTK are looking for that long-term play, right? Of just getting themselves out there. They have a long way to go. We see the mistakes, and I think that they see them too. They're all mechanically sound, but getting to the same page as some of these top-tier teams, it's going to take some time to really evolve into that state.
It really will be. Like their game against OG, that was one of the fastest games in the West Side, right? That's one thing. The other thing was, I think I will still give props to them. I did spend a bit of time with a couple of the teams when I was in KL, and I got to really had like a inside chat with them. Not really too deep, but kind of understand that what they're here for, right? And I think BTK as a team is really, this is their first part of a learning journey. And hopefully, I think the respectable or expected time for them to really start showing up probably will be next year. I don't think, even if they make it into KIC, I think KIC teams will destroy them pretty hard, because KMW teams are strong, but the growth of like the other leagues like WKS, PKL especially, IKL especially, MKL, I don't think they survive against any of these. Not to say that KMW is an easy league. It's already quite tough, but it's a different kind of difficulty in IKL, PKL, because like BTK loves to fight, and actually that's one of their strong points as a team. But when you love to fight, you have not met the Indonesian league teams yet. They love to fight as well, and when you go up against them, you will be punched in the face multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I get that. I get that it's going to be like a long game. If anything, if I want to be super duper charitable, I'll probably look at like KMW Fall next year if they are going to start to kind of like rise. But even then, they only get to the level of the likes of Boars Gaming. They only get to the level of ALO Gaming. They're still very, very far behind in terms of trying to qualify for an international tournament. They are a partner team, so they will get a little bit of like a, there you go, here's an invitational, BTK gets to come, you know what I mean? But they still get stomped the heck out. But it's bloodbath. They get a free journey. They get a free holiday. Maybe the casters get a free holiday next time, and we get to sort of like just lounge in our chairs. I'm like, right, okay, this is kind of like a really nice a bloodbath to be witnessed here. But I don't know, like, I want to kind of like levy onto a different point here, like mentioning BTK and mentioning obviously the KIC as well. As obviously we have the Phoenix Reborn qualifier as well. I honestly thought the BTK would be one of those teams, but if you go and look at the Nation Clash votes now for the IKL, MKL teams, PKL team, sorry, like I don't think there's that much. Other than like the PKL region and the Philippines fans, as well as the NA fans, I still don't think they match the kind of like the amount of support that the likes of like APG are getting, the likes of support level like I can't pronounce their names in the IKL, Verska or whatever it is. They are getting a lot of support as well. Visaka, that's the go. There we go. They get a lot of support, so I feel like they might not even make it into the votes on that premise alone. I feel like they may actually get outvoted. It's only between two teams, so they might not even get into KIC. They might be there for a show match at that point.
I think that's fine.
I think, yeah. I think getting to that show match would be beneficial for them as well. Getting on stage again, they might be kind of given a silver spoon, so to speak, by Tencent at times, but I think it will help them. And I do think that we do need a presence in NA. There's a bit of a void there right now, as we know, so it just makes a lot of sense, right? But is this the team to go all in and be like, hey, these are your representatives for NA, these are the guys? Like, I don't really know. I mean, it seems like the way that at least the Twisted Minds OG route has been is kind of finding people with PR residence and being able to take advantage of that and kind of maybe formulate a team through that. But for now, I think BTK are definitely the way. Yeah, sorry, man.
I think like if there's any changes to any kind of regional things next year, like in terms of players and whatnot, then that might amp up BTK's chances of getting into international tournaments. If that is like a big change in the EU scene, at least, then I feel like there will be a bit of a more, not a natural climb, but a faster progress, because the teams don't become as like impactful within the EU, right? Like if we start to say that you have to have residence within like certain countries, and you can only have like one like import, and it has to be like the residency is a strict a rule, then I can imagine it'll hinder some of the EU teams. But with what's going on and the initiatives that are going on at the moment, especially like New King's Supremacy and stuff like that, like the community tournaments that I'm part of, if we still keep getting all that support from Tencent and Timmy and all that for building the grassroots and building the EU teams and building sort of like natural sort of like EU talent, then I see no problem in that. But if they're going to kind of just like completely get rid of the rule and then be like, right, okay, figure that out, and then that's when it's kind of like with the KMW is going to be a lot more of a ragtag major league next year if that's the case.
Not going to happen, right? I think one of the teams that really caught my eye this particular season for KMW was Boris Gaming. So Boris Gaming is one of the most diverse rosters we have seen. I think 3005 and who was that? Mac. They're both from Germany.
Mac.
So
Germany,
yeah, and like for them, team comms have been really clean. I think they speak in English for their team comms, but their nationality is quite diverse. They are also representing Kazakhstan as a region, right? So the cool thing about them is the fact that they have come on from other MOBA titles, right? So there is experience, and this also means there is a huge variety of players out there of different nationalities that can represent EU and and whatever other regions we're looking for in the future, right? And there are plenty. So now it's really just about skill cap, because a lot of these players, they have experience, but they don't have the teamwork yet. Boris Gaming, their individual skills are very not bad, right? I think they make good individual decisions. But when you ask them to come together as a team, then it's kind of like they're slapping each other instead of slapping the opponents. So that's the issue they need to fix. That's all.
It's like our rank games when we slap each other and we don't slap our opponents. So yeah, I've been there, right? Call us Boars Gaming at the end of the day. But okay, I do think it makes a lot of sense, right? I think that trying to kind of create more of the grassroots will help the game. Again, it's all about the long term, right? Sometimes the games might not be as, fun to watch because you're going to see a bit of a discrepancy. That jump will definitely be there. And there's going to be some teething issues going into this. But I think that it would help. To be honest, I'm not sure which direction to go. I think there are definitely pros and cons to both. I'll let Tencent kind of deal with that in the end, but I just want to see entertaining games, and I want to see the global teams do well.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I have to give it to the new King Supremacy that they have been entertaining games. Like, there's been games where it's kind of like a clear disparity, even at the grassroots level. But then when you actually get to the top two teams, it's kind of like you're watching maybe like a fourth, fifth place IKL, PKL team going at it. You know what I mean? Like they could actually go into that league and actually go up against and maybe take rounds, even take a series from some of the IKL and PKL teams. So I feel like it's good to have that disparity of skill because it makes it's like a natural kind of like staircase, right? You're trying to find and get to that next place of skill and positioning and obviously power within the ladder as well. So I honestly feel like if they do put more into the grassroots movements, which has obviously been a massive message this year as well, right? From James, he's always like, there's obviously grassroots, there's a tournament for everybody, you know what I mean? Like Honor of Kings is a 5v5 MOBA for everybody. That was the tagline literally last year. And it seems to be a little bit more sort of like a little bit more to the heart as well this year as well. So I feel like going forward, it'll still be that kind of momentum and that kind of message. And that's the message you need within global, at least to grow it,
I feel the most entertaining part about watching your new King Supremacy, new King Supremacy is the fact that when we tune in, it's like, okay, what names do we have? And then we realize that you can't pronounce any of the names. That one is the best part. And I'm like, okay, how are you gonna cast this dude? Which is super funny because I think as casters, it's always entertaining to talk about the game, but a lot of people don't know the difficulties we go through in terms of like casting for multiple regions, and then you have name pronunciations that if you mess up, it's like you're kind of screwing that guy over because you want to celebrate that player, but you can't pronounce their name properly. And then there are some names where you absolutely don't know what they're talking about. I have ever said on cast, Korean name and Japanese name are going at it, and I'm like, am I a professional at this point? So it's actually kind of funny, but this also brings us to the next portion, which I think everyone is very curious about, right? So Blam, for you, how long have you been casting, and was a shoutcaster part of the goal? Did you know this was a profession you wanted to go for?
Nope. So, very crazy, wild journey. And speaking of wild, it all started off with Wild Rift, right? Like, I was never a big esports consumer for the majority of my life. I mean, Honor of Kings esports came out when was it just after the pandemic or currently still in the pandemic? I know there's a lot of restrictions. There was never a live audience from what I was watching online. So you can imagine that somebody from the first 24, 25 years of his life actually never dabbled into esports. Sometimes I'd walk into my brother's room and he'd be watching League, like Worlds, and I'd be like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. Like, I like how they're like talking and whatnot. But after like soul searching, and like I was on another podcast like last year, and he was asking me, he's like, how did you get into it? And how did that like that, how did it grab your attention? And I was just like, I sat there for a brief moment and I was just like, you know what? I was a huge wrestling fan when I was like a kid.
Okay.
And I used to love the commentators like JR and King. Like, I used to love how they used to make like do the storylines, hype up the matches, have a lot of fun. And I was thinking, well, maybe subconscious kid Blam was just like, this is my way into commentating. This is something you've always wanted to do, but you've never really known that it was actually an avenue. And then obviously, as I was enjoying Wild Rift Esports, I was doing like co-streams and just practicing my craft there. When Wild Rift, obviously, their funding got dropped, we had big community sort of initiatives from Purge Tournament, who are obviously doing the New Kings Supremacy for Honor of Kings as well. And I literally would work a 9-to-5 job. I would come back from that job 5 days a week. I would tune in I'd pick a match. I'd go into the server, like, right, I want this, and this team. And then I would then cast from 6 p.m. all the way till 10 p.m., not getting paid a single penny, but I was there to get the experience, to build my craft, to build my voice, to see what I wanted to do within that scene. And then luckily, going into 2024, I got a random email saying, hey, Honor of Kings is coming out, Season 1 Invitational. Would you like to try out for the casting? So we've seen there's somebody wants you, basically. I was like, okay. It's nice to feel wanted. It's nice to feel wanted. So I thought, you know what? I'll put a reel together. I got some of the like ex players from what's the org now that was NA within KIC 2022? Tribe. Yeah. So I've got like 1 or 2 Tribe Gaming's players there, and I was like, hey, do you mind like? They like interacted with me naturally on social media. It was like, oh, if you want to kind of learn it, I don't mind sitting in the Discord and we'll go through some games and stuff like that. I was like, sure. So building on that, got my reel out, then obviously submitted it, and then obviously the rest has been history, right? Like I did Season 1 Invitational, and I don't think there's been a single tournament I haven't been part of within Honor of Kings. And honestly, super duper appreciative of obviously everybody behind the scenes and who we know at Tencent and stuff like that to make that a possibility. And it's been a life changer, right? Like I no longer work a 9-to-5 job. I literally get to do this full time. I get to create content full time, which is my next big initiative, is just to get that even higher.
And where can they find you online?
Blam MOBA, of course, at Blam MOBA. You see on every little broadcast, but but TikTok has an extra A at the end because some deviant on TikTok stole my username. So
someone took my Holler TV on TikTok as well, so I'm TV1.
TV1, wow. Not even the original.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been an interesting ride. I obviously, you know, you've been all the way from Season 1, and you were talking about like just like practicing and all that stuff. Actually, we were I was practicing my casts for Season 2 is when we got first involved, and I was using some of your games, right? To use that as like the initial one going into Honor of Kings. So once we jumped into Honor, like Season 2, it's been, I mean, we've been kind of like, dare I say, you guys are the trailblazers, and we were like hanging on your coats, because by Season 2 started, we've been kind of riding on with that right behind you, so to speak.
We were rodeoing. We took the whip and like, okay, we're coming on board as well. I think it was very interesting because when I think both of us we were watching the games and we were like, hey, hang on, there's like people casting for HOK. And that was when we kind of like, we decided, okay, I think we should try out HOK. And when that opportunity came, and it was like, hey, I think we can work with you, right? So when we came on our first cast together, I remember that our first big international tournament, was it KIC first and then EWC? Or was it the reverse?
No, EWC first was the Season 2 Invitational, but then obviously at an offline, it was EWC.
So EWC, we got duo cast, right? And then I think the biggest step up for us as a trio was KIC Indonesia 2024, right? Where we were put on the desk as a trio. And that one was a very fun experience because for Holland and I, we had experience doing a TriCast, but I think it was the first time you were ever doing a TriCast. What was that like for you?
Literally. So that was definitely an experience, but I think because of the synergy that we all built since season 2 Invitational, because I remember that was the one point we always took away from every game was just like, hey, it's like we've been doing this like for quite some time. Synergy was there. There was no kind of like, normally I have to practice with casters. That's always my kind of like thing that I want to do is like, hey, let's have a conversation on Discord. Let's kind of talk about it, kind of build like a bit of an icebreaker, but then also a little bit of a relationship in that kind of sense. But obviously, season 2 Invitational announcement was last minute. You know, like we didn't know what was going on, who we were casting with, and from that point, it's kind of us like, right, we'll just roll with the punches. And we got through season 2 Invitational, so I feel like that was the first part of building our synergy there. And then obviously EWC, we got to meet each other. So again, building on that kind of relationship that we have now with each other. And then I feel like that's naturally just kind of like made KIC and my lack of experience of having a TriCast just so much easier because it was just kind of just like having a conversation with both of you. And our TriCast wasn't kind of like the traditional kind of TriCast, right? Like we were just kind of, especially within like segments, we were just talking, having a blast. And then obviously we split it down the middle, right? It was like, okay, that's PvP. They don't talk until the big moments come. And then the other two kind of like chime in and do the normal thing that you would do in a duo cast. So I feel like as a break into a trial cast, I think that was probably the best thing for me. But then when you look at other trial casts, like I was watching the LEC yesterday, the League one, like they have a trio, but then there's always a guy that's very silent for quite some time. The first two will then start doing the talking. One of them do a hype moment, and then once he tunes out, it's then a conversation between these next two, and then he's silent for like the next 10 minutes or 5 minutes. So it's clearly like we did it to a little bit of a tradition, right? So I feel like it went very well, and I really enjoyed it. It was probably like one of my favorite casts, to be honest.
I think it went well, but I think your version of it was kind of different because my memory of it was just the two of you teaming up on me, right? To gaslight me on the broadcast, make fun of me on the broadcast.
That's why it was fun. That was why it was one of the best casts, obviously. Somebody has to take the fall.
And I'm fine, right? Having the struggle, that's a privilege. I think we have really gelled well as a trio. Did we get... Yeah, we got a trio cast as well this year for KWC, right? Yes. But it was a slightly different one because, of course, there was a new edition for Sagi and whatnot. But we'll talk a bit more about that another time. So for now, I think the interesting thing about this journey has been, okay, obviously the casts have been going well. But in Indonesia, KIC 2024, we had a blast because we went out. The first day that we reached Jakarta, we went to the cafe. It was called 7 a.m. Right, and then we had, so we got the menu. We drank every single coffee on that menu for our entire trip. Yeah.
Yeah, no, those trips were really good, man. Like honestly, it's just like the one thing I really loved about KIC was the fact that the timing of the cast was fine. Like for KWC, we wanted to do so much after the broadcast, but it was just so tiring because of the heat and obviously the very long days. And KIC was definitely long days as well. But you had time in the morning. If you wanted to go grab bike, like, text Ken, like, meet you downstairs at the lobby. Let's go see you at 7. Let's grab a coffee. And we'll literally go from there. We'll be dressed up and then get a grab bike and go all the way to the venue. And like, all right, we'll see you there. So it was a little bit more freeing. And I think that's the part that I really enjoyed about KIC is the fact that we could just kind of like make our own way there. And to be honest, looking back, I think quite a lot of like decisions that were made were probably like, especially for obviously me being quite foreign to the Southeast Asia countries as well. It's kind of thinking, I put myself in quite a bit of danger, man. I mean, anything could have happened to me, and I was just sort of like head in the clouds, like, man, I'm in Indonesia, having fun, and then like they could have took me like down a dark alley and beat me, but that just never went through my mind. I was just like, if it happens, it happens. But yeah, that was such that trip alone was just amazing.
It was crazy though. Like Holler, you were talking about it the other time. We had a discussion because we were comparing about our casting dates, and KWC this year was very tiring. But we somehow managed in KIC 2024. We did 9 days of casting in a row, and like we killed it every day. And Blem and I still went out every night. So
That to me is the craziest part, right? Because obviously you guys would go on, but you guys would go full on and drink, and then you had enough time to recover in the morning. So it kind of worked out okay, because if it was going to be like, like 9 a.m. to like, 10 p.m. or whatever, it would have been very difficult to do that kind of thing. But you guys, just the scheduling and the way it worked, and you guys were on every single day, and it was kind of crazy sometimes, obviously a little bit more zombified than others, let's be honest.
Levels on you.
You want to talk about that?
That was the discrepancy, okay? You were saying, hey, they got to go out, they were fresh. That first day, that first night was not fresh, okay? We went out, we went to a karaoke bar, me and Ken. He grabs a bottle of what he knows he likes to drink. I was just like, hey, what looks like cider here to me? And then I saw this bottle. It had fruit on it. It was in a glass bottle. I was like, bet that's cider. And then I heard someone obviously talking about saying that cider's more expensive in Southeast Asian countries. So I was like, that's why the price is a little bit more than Kin's beer. So anyway, we go there, we grab a booth. We're watching people do karaoke. I was in my element. It wasn't just kind of like this Indonesian music. There was a lot of like pop punk from my sort of like teenage years. Like Avenged Sevenfold came on, My Chemical Romance. We was in our zone, man. Honestly, it was the best part of the night. But then I was drinking this. What we know now as soju. And I was just necking it. I was like, oh, this is so nice, sort of thing. And then I remember Kim was like, I need to go and grab another beer. I was like, yeah, I'll get another one. So I stood up and I was just like, oh, okay. It's different, man. It's clearly fermented differently over here. We grab another bottle. And I don't manage finishing that bottle. And I think that was probably for the best, looking back retrospectively. And then obviously we both got outside. We're both having a laugh. We had the Dola Dola track as well. Obviously, Hauler was haunted from the voice recordings of that night. So it was just a spamming Dola Dola Dola. And then I woke up the following morning and I was just like, whoa, like I had two ciders. Because at this point in time, I still thought I was drinking cider. I've had two ciders. Why do I feel so rough? And there was me sat by the toilet for like maybe a good 30, 45 minutes before we went for breakfast. Nothing came up. I was like, oh, that was going to be horrible.
My God.
Went downstairs to the breakfast bar and I was just like looking at everything. I was like, no, can't stomach any of this at all. So I had watermelon. That's it. And then I remember getting ready, having a shower, and it hit me. I was like, whoa, like, have you been spiked or it's different? And then I remember going to the breakfast bar, and I mean, I missed this point out, but then you was like, I was like, Kin, what was that cider I was drinking? He's like, that wasn't cider, bro. That was soju. I was like, what? And then I searched soju on Google and I saw the volume of alcohol. My stomach dropped. I was like, right, I'm on broadcasting like an hour. Like, why have I had so much alcohol? And then we get ready. We're in the car, and every speed bump in that car, that was like, I don't know, a speed bump for a lower place team trying to get over OGE Sports. It's like we get in the fight, boom, oh, we're down, oh, we're down again. And then I remember getting to the venue and I just ran to the toilet, and yeah, that was probably the most zombified I'd been. I think after that, we stuck to a quite light drinks. We had quite a few of them, still got the buzz, still got to do karaoke, and then woke up in the morning, fresh as a daisy, was ready to go. So yeah, we always learn from our mistakes. When we obviously people lose in honor of Kings Esports, not losing, we're learning. And I did a lot of learning on that one night. So
all right, I have to ask, because Kin, you were there as the wingman. When you see somebody literally chugging soju straight out of the bottle, weren't you kind of like, hey, he should probably slow down, or does he know what that is? Like, should you protect him in some fashion?
Do not try to gaslight me for this. Let me make it clear first. I have a lot of friends that drink. I drink as well. Soju is, okay, it's not light work for sure. But when someone grabs 2 bottles of soju at one shot, you would figure that they know what they're doing, right? That's what I think, right? So I thought this guy knew what he was doing, and he was telling me throughout the night, like, oh, this one tastes good. And I was like, yeah, it tastes good because it's a flavored soju, right? And I knew what soju was. Obviously, I have drank many soju bombs and soju bottles, and I was going for, what was the brand? It was a Bintang beer or something like that. It was a light one, right? So I know how many beers I can take before I go into zombie mode. And I think we had like, I had like fucking 4 bottles, so it was fine. I know I was fine the next day because I needed the beer to be able to go to sleep. Now, why? It's also because why we lasted the 9 days consecutive cast for, I think, 8 hours at a go at least, was the fact that we drank coffee from the start of the broadcast to the end of the broadcast, which was why we were high on caffeine. And to me, it was like, okay, yeah, so Blam knows what he's doing. And then when we were laughing, we were having fun, and you know the text that we were sending at night and all that. So it felt like it was okay. But when we saw him the next morning, I was like, oh shit, we kind of messed up. I should have protected Blam. Yeah, but that is a mistake that will not happen again. But this is a story that will continue for years to come because we now know what the limit is.
Yeah. And it, of course, the 2 soju bottles will now be referred to as the Blam Special. I think that we will continue that legacy. Anytime we drink, we're like, hey, how many bottles? Let's go with the Blam Special here.
Yeah. So that's Blam's like gut punch, right? So Blam is not the only victim per se of the KIC Indo 2024. We also have Mr. Second victim over here, Mr. Korea.
Pineapple.
So okay, we had a huge blast, KIC 2024. We had okay, let's talk about the cast first, right? We telegraphed the entire story. So we had a brilliant semis. It was semis, right? Semi-final. It was Team Secret against Dominator. First ever season of HOK we did for championships. We got a reverse sweep or a comeback that was it never happened before, right? And of all the games that happened, it had to be the semifinals between 2 of arguably the most famous teams from each region, right? So Team Secret from Malaysia, and then we have Dominator fresh off of Indonesia, right? We were brought to a game 7 ultimate battle, and then it was a winning win, right? So backdoor access. It was Freddy, now also known as Che. I think he is in Mahadewa now, right?
Mahadewa, yeah.
Yeah. So he was the one responsible for getting that last hit on the crystal. Everyone lost their shit. We lost our shit as well. And look, Holler and I, we have been casting for at least 2 years on our previous title, right? And we only got that kind of experience, I think, towards the end of the second year. So it took 2 whole years to have that moment for us, and Holler wasn't even on that cast, right? So he missed out on that. So for us to come into this particular segment where it was first season, first international cast, we get the best possible scenario ever, best storyline. It was a crazy night, right? So we ended the day at, I think, 12 a.m. Right? The mall was closed. It was freaking hot. We were in blazers and shit, and everyone's still screaming. And it felt like, okay, it's a new day. It felt like a grand finals. So yada yada, we go into grand finals, right? Of course, BSC won it. We had a fantastic night, and then we go to the talent room, right? So everyone's seated down, fighting over the what's this keychains and stuff. Right, everyone's looking for merch. They're looking for, okay, can I get freebies? What kind of merch do we have from Tencent? And then the conversation came, which is, guys, it's the final day in ID. We need to have fun. We need to go as a talent contingent. Where do we want to go? And I had told like the ID talents, okay, I've set aside some money so that I can buy some drinks for everyone, and we're gonna have a great time. The ID talents then said, we already have a place. We'll meet you there. So I think we all went back to the hotel, right? To change up, freshen up, whatsoever. And then we went to the club, also known as Cloud. Now, for those of you that don't know, Cloud in Jakarta is owned by Dominator. So when we reached there, we were kind of planning our finances. Okay, who's gonna have food? Who's gonna have drinks? And then this conversation came up. So we know Holler as Mr. JB. Now, JB stands for Jägermeister Bomb, right? So Jäger Bombs, this is what your college days, I believe, right? The young and budding Holler ready to cause some destruction. And then the most destructive message came onto Miss Momo Chan's phone, which was from the owner of Cloud. They said, guys, order whatever you want. Everything is on the house. And it was go time. So Holler, please give us your version of that event.
So I had an amazing dinner. I had ordered, just fried rice. I was having a great time. I believe I ordered a beer as well. And I was kind of just like, just chill, happy with the grand finals. Everything was kind of like going in. Then when that text happens, and then all of a sudden we're told, hey, everything's on the house, there was like chaos. everybody started ordering, and I was like, okay, what's going on? Is there like a fire sale? What's going on, right? And then all of a sudden, everybody started ordering, and then there happened to be, I don't remember who did. I want to say it's Aprilia who ordered Red Bull and Jägermeister, right? Which is like one of my favorite go-tos. Like once it touches your lips, it's like game over for me, right? And so that's kind of what happened, where everybody was literally just drinking straight out of the bottles. Everybody's going ham. People kept pouring for each other because it was just like a great time for everyone. Yeah, so again, everybody's kind of drinking, and then all of a sudden, all I kind of remember was like Blam was like, "Hey, caller, I think you need to stop. I think we need to go back to the hotel." And I was like, sure, why not? I would say yes to everything, right? So like, had he not said that, I probably would have stayed there. I might have died. But anyways, so I get in the taxi, we go home, I get out, and I like literally start wobbling out of the taxi, and I was like, oh, I'm glad I'm home, right? So I go in the hotel room, I say bye to Blam. I was like, thanks, Blam. I think you might have saved my life. And I didn't really think too much of it, right? Because I was just like, ha ha ha, funny, right? Because he just like, I'm back in the hotel. Blam kind of made sure that I was safe, like a good wingman, right? Or like, you did a great job. Thank you, Blam.
Okay.
And so I get into the hotel, I pass out, and then I woke up in the morning, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. Right, because it was miserable. Let me just say that, right?
You were legit zombie, right? You were worse than Blam when he had the double soul juice. So
yeah.
Let me fill you in on what happened exactly that night. So after that text came in, we had a conversation about what kind of drinks you wanted. So Sabila was the one that ordered, yes, but I was the one that gave the instructions to say that, you know what, Holler loves the Jaeger bombs, so like order that shit for him. So
You tried to kill me.
no, it's karma. It's a ring around the rosies, right? You guys want to bully me on the broadcast? I will take that, but then I will return the favor in drinks. So you died, and okay, now that was not the reason why you died. One of the reasons why a lot of us died that night was also because the rest of the teams were there, and
Yeah.
I want to point you in the correct direction here. The Blacklist boys were there, right? This was our first interaction ever with them. So it was Jashi, it was TG, and this is where I made very good friends with them that night. So Jashi, for all of you that didn't know, I'm pretty sure both of you remember, every 5 minutes, this guy was coming with a cheers. And his cheers was not a normal cheers. It was not a cup of beer or something. It was shot glasses. And we were like, cheers, down, down, down. And we were like, okay, I'm dying. And then like the Dominator boys were coming in. The owner was coming with some special concoction. It was a blue color bottle of, I don't know. I was told it is alcohol that you can only acquire elsewhere. It's a special kind of tequila or something. And they were just pouring it into our mouths. It was like, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. And I felt the burn all the way. So at the end of the entire night, after you guys left, we partied till the club closed at 3:30 a.m. Okay, and then we went out, booked the car, and TG was sat beside me in the cab. And then TG was gone. Like he was out of it. So he was sitting beside me, and I'm sitting beside the window here, right? So if you need anything, I need to wind down the window for you. And it's if I remember correctly, it's a manual wind down window.
Okay. Like legitimately a wind down. Yeah.
Wind down window. So manual labor in that sense. And then TG went like, I cannot. And I was like, shit, okay, he needs to barf. And I'm like, okay. And he made it all the way to my lap, did this, and stopped. And I was like, shit, he's gonna vomit on me. And I was like, wait, manual. I was getting it down. And then once the window was down, TG just stopped functioning. And I was like, okay. In the span of 5 seconds, I told myself, my pants are gone. It's okay. I can have them washed. I can pack them up. It's fine. I will figure something out. But if he buffs, he buffs. He did not, thankfully. And that was my story of meeting TG. And he left all his shit in the car. So I brought all his shit into my room. And the next morning, when we met you, Mr. Zombified Hauler, Blam, you were fine the next day. And then we met the Blacklist boys. And I was like, I have your stuff. Let me push it. Let me pass it back to you. But the most amazing thing, because I did not remember, but I found a bag in my room the next morning when I woke up. And it was the bag of the Dominator owner.
Oh.
And it had his like personal documents inside. I was like, shit, I'm not a thief. I did not steal this shit. I don't know why this bag is with me, but it's with me. So I called our talent manager. I was like, can you get me in contact with the Dominator people? Because like I have his stuff. I'm not sure why I have it, but I have his stuff. And I did not touch any of it. So it was returned back to him, hopefully, because I don't know what happened. But that was our last night in KIC 2024. So I'm hoping that we are flown to KIC 2025 in Philippines. And I'm going to return the favor to TG as well as Joshi this time. I hope you guys have my back.
But no, like, I just want to fill in there. Obviously, my perspective was kind of filled out a little bit there because obviously it was a little bit more of a zoned out perspective because I played the long game, okay? You all laughed at me thanks to the Shouju incident, but that taught me something on that very journey. It's like, hey, don't go too hard. You got an airplane flight tomorrow, and it's one heck of an airplane journey. Not only do you have to stop at Doha, you have to then wait around in Doha and then get back to the UK. So I was just like, right, okay, let's chill out. So I chilled out, I zoned out, but the main reason why I zoned out, I think I probably would have gone on and just had the worst destructive night of my life, was because of Indonesian club music. It's probably the worst thing in my life. The drowning noise, it keeps me up at night still. That it's just so repetitive. One point, right, Hall, and I was like, hey, it's something we can actually sing to. And then that was the only thing they could sing to. And then the rest of the night, it was just that tedious noise. And I was just sat. It killed my vibe. I was just watching everybody having a nice time. I was taking every shot that Just Chi gave me, tried to give me one out the door. I was like, it's probably best not. I don't have this one. I'm trying to get Holler back to safety. And then obviously we got into that one. And for breakfast in the morning, and we went to, obviously we missed the free breakfast. So we had to go somewhere within that mall. And then, that was it, basically. Seeing everybody turn up into the lobby. Obviously, all the blacklist looking like they've just, like, had the worst reckoning of their life. Coming down into that lobby, sat there, just all passed out. There's me, Precious and Daisy, like, Indonesian club music saved me.
Yeah. No, actually, walking into that lobby, it smelled like death. Right? Let's be very honest, right? I was like not having it. I was like in a terrible mood, obviously. And I remember telling Kin, I was just like, Kin, just get me on this airplane. I don't care what happens. I don't know what you need to do, but just make sure I get on this airplane, right? And so I was literally following him throughout. I was like completely zoned out. He was like showing me like, let's go to this restaurant. Like, I was like, I don't care, let's go. Like, I was just following you along. I had no idea where I was at some points. It was like, the worst taxi ride there just to the airport. And I mean, I thank you to Blam for saving me the night before, and then Kin for getting me on that airplane.
You are very lucky. You are very lucky because that was not my first time in Jakarta, and that was not my first time at the airport, which is why I knew where to bring you to have porridge so that your body can recover, right? And then at the same time, I think we had a lot of fun on the side of Blam. Like, okay, so we went to this club, but before that, we also found out during our KIC trip that in Indonesia there was this yellow packet, right? That was our lifesaver many a times.
Telok Angin.
Yeah, Telok Angin. And then like that one was crazy. We had the ginger drink every morning. It was like the shot of death.
Yeah.
But it saved us, right? Many a times. And it also allowed us to go to one of the clubs in Jakarta, which Blam and I frequented during that trip. And I remember there was one incident. Okay, this one Holler you don't know, but we went to this place called Lucy in the Sky. There are two Lucy's in Lucy places. So one is Lucy Beer Street, which is the karaoke bar that we went to, and then there was one night that it was closed. So we figured like, okay, there's another Lucy. We were told there was another Lucy. Let's go to that place. So that other place was called Lucy in the Sky, which was the place that we wanted to bring you guys. Which we did, right? I think we did, right? It was karaoke night there as well.
We were there once. Yeah, we went there once.
So there was one night we went and there was nobody in the club, but the music was pretty fire because I think there were no Indonesians, so they were trying out music, and I wanted to leave. I was kind of like, I'm bored. I want to go home, and Blam told me, no, we cannot leave. This music signifies there's something more coming. And I was in this belief. I was like, no, I want to go home. And then through his consistent, badgering to make sure that I stayed, I said, okay, you know what? I'll wait for one last song. And then Kendrick Lamar and Drake came on. I was like, shit, okay, good choice.
Yeah, no, that was a good call. I was just like, at that moment in time, I was like, something like Kendrick's talking to me, man. He's like, he's telling me that something's gonna come on, and then at that moment, DNA came on. I rapped every song, every little word to it, and then that grab bike journey home, I was still rapping it, even though the music wasn't even playing. I was still rapping that same song, and the guy must have been like, "What's this guy even like mumbling on about?" The guy like taking me back home, but yeah, that was one of the better ones. But I do want to give shots fired though, right? Like we got took to a fancy place, right? And the drinks were
yeah.
not of my caliber. They were not of my caliber. They were like wine, like yeah, whatever it is. I ordered a drink that was probably considered expensive in Jakarta, but the ice cube filled the whole drink. So my drink was probably like that much liquid. Because the ice cube was huge, it lifted it. I was just, I was just like, you brought me to it. I think I paid for the whole round, right? I think Ken like 150 or something like that. I was like, don't worry, guys. Saudi money's come in. It's on me. And then it came. It was like 3 million IDR or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was 3 mil. It was 3 mil plus.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, there you go, contactless, done. And then I looked at my Monzo, it came through. It was like 150 quid.
and it's quid. It's not even like SGD. It's quid. So that one hurt quite a bit. And then we also went to like the beach club with Momo. And then that one we had quite a bit of fun because that one was. We had food, we had drinks. Total bill was like I think 1.5 mil rupiah.
Yeah, man.
It was not bad. We stayed there for like a couple of hours. I got like a pretty nice tan, and
we was there from 11 a.m. till around about I think it was like 8 or 9.
Yeah. Where do you go? That was our free day, right? That was our free day.
That was free day. I was sick.
That was our
I got sick.
Okay.
Yeah,
unfortunate.
I was sick. Yeah, right on that transition. Yeah.
Probably didn't drink enough alcohol. That's why.
Probably to kill all those viruses and the bacteria. Yeah. So I played it wrong. I had 0 bottles of soju in the regular season. So I didn't get going until the grand finals.
First night.
First
night. You got to do first night.
Medical alcohol
keeps the mosquitoes away from your blood.
Yeah, medical alcohol for the outside wounds, and then like the internal alcohol for like the inside wounds. Yeah.
Yeah. So just one time you drink for everything, right? Just coat your body in it.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun, right? And then going on to KWC, I think KWC was a kind of different experience. I actually missed the first EWC one because we really got to sit down in the lounge, interact as a group, and then chit chat and stuff like that. So hopefully, as we head into the 3rd year of KWC or EWC, plus the end of year KIC, it's going to be quite a banger for us. Yeah.
Hopefully we get an invite. Hopefully we get flown out this time as well. So obviously, even if we don't, I've been super appreciative of every little bit of every opportunity we've had. Right, we've been truly looked after by Tencent. I feel anything that comes our way, I feel like it's just always a bonus. Always kind of something that keeps me away from a 9-to-5 job. Always keeps me allowing to keep creating my content and doing what I love. So at the end of the day, I'm just happy that I'm here right now. Obviously, get to meet you guys. And that's basically it. I think considering that I've only been casting, so you guys have been casting quite considerably longer than me. I think this is my 3rd year. So next year will be my 4th year. And the fact that I've got to an international tournament within 2 years of casting is probably every caster that was actually aspiring to be a caster, like myself, completely fumbled into it. Was their dream. So I'm very, very fortunate and very happy. So
I have one question that I want to wrap up before we go into your charity of choice or your cause of choice. Is this your first international travel as a cast? For both of you, because this was my first.
It was not my first.
Oh, really? Okay,
not my first. Yeah, I did Free Fire. I went to Thailand.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh. Yeah.
So send us on more trips, please.
Yeah. Who do I need to call? What do I need to do? Let's make it happen.
It's just the dopamine that you get from like that when you get that text saying, right, okay, you're flying. It's like,
oh my goodness.
And then you're thinking, right, what am I going to pack? What do I need to buy? And then you're getting on the plane on the day and you're just like, right, guys, I'll see you when I land. And then that's it. It's just like kind of like everything blacks out from that point. And life just like elevates to a next level. It's so good. It's so good.
So as kind of what Kin was alluding to, Blam, obviously we should have probably started with this, but what was your charity of choice for this week's episode 7 here?
So, I mean, we're all obviously male dominated, obviously on the broadcast at the moment within the global esports scene. We are obviously always open doors for female broadcasters, but mine it's a UK charity called Men's Shed. And basically, this is to combat male loneliness, because obviously at the moment within the world and within my country, male loneliness is probably one of the biggest epidemics that there is right now. And Male Shed is basically, it's a frequent place where you can meet up with other men, and it's all to give purpose back to lonely men, whether it's because they have been widowed or whether it's just because they have no family around, they've moved to different areas and have nobody as a support beam. And basically 75% of the people felt less anxious after joining the Man Shed. So really, it's giving back purpose to males, because I think that's kind of like one of the things within the world that doesn't get spoken about too much. And it's one that I frequently delve into. Like, male loneliness gets everybody at the best of times. You can be surrounded by the best support system in your life, but you will feel lonely, and it's nice to know that there's like charities like this out there that will be having you back. But it's also better to have and try and curate a friend group like we have right now. So
yeah,
definitely
cool. Great cause. You know, definitely awareness, right? I think that is something, obviously on both ends, right? On male and females, obviously can kind of go through this, obviously. But for me, with that charity, is it possible to find some ranked mates in honor of kings?
I mean,
No?
I don't know if you want to do that. I think that 75% less anxious people after joining that would just plummet down to like maybe like 0.5%. They would be like angry people. You don't want to be in the shed with fun, right? You don't be in the shed. You don't be drinking beers, playing ranked, unless you're good like us. So
actually, that's the worst idea ever. Like drinking and playing rank. Oh my goodness! I mean, we were on the voice chat and go ham.
That sounds like a very good night to me. That sounds like a very good night.
Yeah, we should go back and go back to the ranking days. We did play once or twice. I think we should continue that journey. Of course, the new season is going to be starting soon, so that will be a nice place for us to start grinding again.
Cool. Happy to do that. And also, thank you so much, Blam, for taking time out of your day just to kind of get onto the podcast. We definitely did want you earlier. Unfortunately, just with the storyline, it happened to be with this one. But we were just more than happy, and we had a ton of great stories. It's been a pleasure, obviously, on this ride, especially with you, Blam. And I look forward to when we can meet up again in person. Hopefully, we can kind of recreate the Blam special. It's going to be super key. But before we sign out, any more final incriminating stories from either one of you?
No.
This is the time.
No. I think that was probably the most incriminating story that we have so far. Maybe this year, especially with it being in the Philippines, and we know how those guys love to party and karaoke. I mean, it could be disaster. It could literally level up our broadcast to the next level. You know, we don't know until it happens. So
yeah, we'll see.
We're going to have to test that one out. But thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Please do like and subscribe. We will be signing out. This was, of course, episode 7 of the Team One Take. We'll catch you guys next time.